says we're live.
We're not
How we
remembering.
verify it, I'm still trying to figure out.
I put on my lamp and I just made everything yellow.
Wow, that's some brightness.
Is it bright?
Oh, which
Good
is
morning,
fine.
everybody. Are we broadcasting at this point,
So I'm
or are
trying to
we just
figure. I'm
talking to
trying to figure
ourselves?
it out.
Okay.
Well, we're always just talking to ourselves.
Do we know
So let
whether
me
we're
just
actually
jump.
on the air?
We are supposed to be.
Wait for it.
I'm just trying to figure out how do you verify this. I'm gonna go straight to the source. Yeah, we're live.
We're live. Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Making Turbo Pit Fighter. I'm Jake, and this is Kurt, and we are making a post-apocalyptic science fiction comic book featuring a muscle-bound female protagonist who goes by the name Turbo. Um, Kurt has some artwork that he's inking right there, and you can see Turbo is pictured with the stunning trophy girl who she rescues amid the vast wasteland. I'm trying to remember our old intro. You know, our old intro was great, right? With the AI voice and the mushroom cloud and everything.
Yeah, we have that on our homepage, our YouTube homepage. So when people come on for the first time, it'll automatically play for them. So it's not
Right.
gone.
It was like in the grim, lawless 23rd
Yes.
century,
I
right?
love it. I love it. I still love it.
So, as people might have known, we were off the last 2 weeks. We did post episodes that had pre-taped, but I was in the move. I was in the hellish move where we had all kinds of surprises and closing headaches, and at this point, I am still unpacking out of boxes. But I have my basic setup here, so I'm gonna try and find my turbo pages, see if I can just get back to where I was. Um, Folks might see the cover art for this episode. What do you call it? The title graphics or the title page?
Yeah.
And right, so that is in recognition of the fact that we are in production of our third turbo teaser, which is going to be the first full issue of Doom Magazine's #1. And we created two color covers, competing designs from Kurt and Jake. And we have to talk about the issue because we are presenting the next 6 pages of Turbo Pit Fighter, um, and a couple of other things in there which are going to really be valuable for sci-fi readers. So it's going to be like an anthology, um, and we're going to have the introduction and premiere of 3 characters that comprise the casualties, which is not a superhero group, but a post superhero group, a science fiction group, um, featuring Esoterra, Hellclaw, and Chromita. And that was penciled and inked by Ken Landgraf, but it has no letters. So
Yeah.
I'm kind of wondering what the order of business is. I'm going to move this piece. If anybody's interested in knowing what this is a perspective exercise I did in college. So this was made in like 1989 or something like that. And I
It's
did
awesome.
2 of
I
these.
love it.
I know if
Woo.
you look up close, it's very, very super detailed. I hope I don't screw up my focus or anything, but this is a really good exercise with perspective, and you need a nice ruler and triangle and to get this going. It's just pen and ink. I was offered $1,000 for this once, but I turned it down.
Really?
Ooh. Yeah, I should have taken the money. Once you have a high res image of it, you have all your rights, you have everything. Just sell the stupid thing. But like I said, I was just a kid, you know.
You're waiting for you're waiting for the bigger money.
I don't know what I would do if I do.
$2,000.
I thought I wanted to keep it. That's what the thing was.
Exactly.
Little did I know, I could just keep making my own art all I want. So Kurt, what is the timetable for the production of the Ken Landgraf 6-pager?
Well, this
What are we
is
gonna do?
really what I wanted this episode to be about is, start getting people a better understanding of where we are, where you did very nicely explain. We're going towards turbo teasers. We did 2 of them. Second one is only available physically as Jake's copy. Mine are all sold out. And that was teaser number 2. We'll be moving to, you have less than 10 left. Did you locate them to send out that one?
I didn't find my box yet, so I had to send my one that I usually keep handy here. I sent that out yesterday.
Oh, you did? You did? Yeah. Awesome. So we're migrating towards, and it shouldn't be that much of a surprise to any of our true solid fans there, to Doom Mags. So Doom Mags End of the World Anthology, which the graphics were done for, I know from my cover, the way we had designed and laid out the graphics. They're super awesome, which is one of the first things on my list to request is just those graphics, to be able to kind of float them around in future cards and maybe media to be able to post.
Yes.
Because it'll be Doom Magazine's #1, an anthology, which from here on out, the teaser material for Turbo will be in there, the 6 pages as we get them completed, but we're then expanding upon by collaborating with other creators. Ken Landgraf, having been the first one doing the 6 pages, we opted not to pay for him to do the lettering. We do it ourselves. And I can do that. It would just mean you sending me the script. Now, I know it's on Hellclaw, which is fine, but at the same time, I know you still have the dazzling feeling of tweaking things. So if you wanted to take a last minute and tweak, I can definitely get started on that next Sunday, as a matter of fact. So then next Sunday, I also think we should probably get our main man, Alex Turbin, on and get an update from him. I know he has maybe some questions and everything. I would be surprised if he didn't. So, giving him the opportunity to come on and show what he's got going on for his 10-pager of the Duke, the secret life of the Duke. Yeah, Secret Chronicles. And then
we started that. The last I heard, he said he had 1 page done. I saw it. I've been posting the script little by little, but then the move kind of happened right in the middle. So he has 4 pages fully scripted, so he'll probably be working on, he's somewhere between page 1 and page 4 of penciling and inking the script, and I don't think he's doing word balloons either. So that's the update, but he's doing a 10-pager, right? And it's going to be the story of the Duke as the multi-thread assassination scenes unfold with sky cycle battles and introducing the evil patriarchs of the de Huberton family that Duke is going to assassinate. We also have a cast of supporting characters that are going to be introduced, and it's just a whole very cool sub-thread, or what do we call it, spin-off from the Turbo world that happens many years before Turbo comes around. So it's like a prequel to the Turbo world. But
just the thing, I'm sorry, Jake, but I liken it to the reason why Turbo is existing in her post-apocalyptic world. It's like, I don't know, it's kind of, once again, something a little new maybe for people to get into. Is I know it's it's so easy to fall back into using language like prequel and whatever it is, but it's like it's way more pieces of like fractured pieces of what happened in order for the post-apocalyptic world that Turbo lives in be there. And some of these characters play huge roles and are in Turbo Pit Fighters. So I liken it to like a really good world building,
Sci-fi
some
world.
foundation. Yeah. I mean, because I don't want prequel to be used in a way where people automatically assume we have shoot off series and stuff like that. Though, who
Yeah,
knows?
we do.
Who knows? But right now,
We
the doors are shut on us getting anything else going other than getting to Doom Mag's #1. We have a third individual that Jake established a connection with at IC3, Smitty. I do have his contact information, so I will be reaching out to him to also get him to come on while we're doing our thing for the live,
Right. The last
Sundays
I heard from
from there.
him, yeah, the last I spoke to him, is that he has a full script for a 6-pager. It's called The Company Man, and he had to go ahead to execute it for publication in the anthology. And I haven't seen any progress, so I don't know if he's
Okay.
on or off or whatever. But
Well, we'll
and
find out.
yeah, and to be young again. The guy is like
No,
just
thank you.
in school. He's like Joe Kubert's school. So I think he's in his early 20s, and you either deliver or you don't. So I'm fine. Whatever happens happens. But if we don't
Sure.
get his 6-pager for the anthology, then we'll probably be filling it with either zine pages, which is what we call the combination of prose and sketches on these like super designed up pages like that. Or we could also do a 6-page turbo issue #2 pencil spoiler section. But either way, we will definitely have 32 pages plus covers, and we are dialing in a publication date of this calendar year, 2025, to have that out. So just to review, it's 6 pages of the turbo progress for turbo #1, 6-page Ken Landgraf world premiere for the casualties, a 10-pager for Alex Turbin doing the Secret Chronicles of the Duke, and then either the Company Man, um, or the pencil spoiler pages from Turbo #2. Pencil only
So
spoiler
just
pages.
also to get everybody clear on what's completed, our 6 pages of the next Turbo are completed. Then Ken Landgraf, we just have to put the letters on, and a script is being done and getting executed by Alex Turbin. And then Smitty has script, and we're just going to try to find out where he's at. He might be, in the heat of summer, but yeah, and
Yeah, who
that's where
knows
we're
what he's
gonna
doing.
we're gonna stick to as what will hopefully be a completed issue of our first Doom Magazine's End of
Yep,
the World
yep,
anthology, which I love the
yep.
title of.
Yeah. So, and this isn't like us, just talking about what we're going to be doing and promising for the
Right,
future. This is us
right.
actually doing it.
Yep,
So
yep.
my question to Kurt is, on our Sunday broadcasts here, are we going to be diving into the lettering, or are we doing that offline?
You're talking about my hand lettering over the top of my final inks and you in your on your laptop.
Yeah, so we have the art, we have the original boards for the Ken Landgraf 6-pager, and so the question is, which process are we going to use to get the lettering done? You have the full script in your email. It's also online. You know the link. It's
Yeah.
just hellclaw.com/ the casualties, I think.
Yeah.
The casualties or casualties, yeah. And and then we just have to type it out. I mean, our old process is type it out in a computer font that looks like a comic font, and then you draw over that using hand lettering. So if we're going with our previous format, production for lettering, then that's the next step to do.
Yep.
It's like what I call copy fitting. And if we're going to do that, then I have to find the pages on my computer, bring them into Quark, type them out, do all of the kerning and spacing, and then export EPS that turns into a JPEG so that you can print it out and letter over it. Um, so do we want to try and set that up for next episode? Because today I'm
I
just setting
can
scroll.
I can definitely do the setup of the text on my side. I mean, I have like a font that I use, and and then I just put it right over the top, and then that's that top layer of font. I just compress that and as a layer, and then put it at 10%
So
opacity,
you're
print it out.
proposing we change the format that we do lettering, and you are going to type it out in a computer font that just has default
I'm
spacing
still doing the
and
hand lettering. I'm still doing the hand lettering. I'm just allowing you to not have to do the setup part.
it's not about not have to do it. It's about we're actually changing and editing the text as we go, and we're also doing the copy
Okay.
fitting,
So well,
which means
that's what I. Okay.
breaking it up into like how does it stack, how does it read, is it going to be reverse type in some places, is it going to, all those kind of
Yeah. Well,
questions.
we
So
do need to stay on that.
right, so I think the move is we go into Quark Express starting next Sunday, and I'll have the pages loaded in so that we can just do it, and it'll be another one of our mind-numbing lettering episodes on my side of the screen.
Which is always a
We,
joy. It's always. I
yeah,
think we're probably going to end up becoming famous, more famous for our lettering process than anything else.
maybe or infamous, but it has to be done. There's just no way
Okay.
around. All right, so
Okay.
so good. So we're gonna be that's gonna be actually very fun because we're gonna be talking about a story where these three crazy characters are rescuing a kidnapped teenage tall specimen
Seven
girl,
foot, right? She's 7 foot.
6'8". Yeah, so we're
6'8".
talking,
Okay.
and
Okay.
right, we're talking about Charvel Vor. She's 6'8", and she is pursued by the evil marauder, Dr. Bruno Marauder and Bianca Marauder, each of who are super villainy, and they're in pursuit of Charvel Vor for her genetics, and and summarily rescued by the casualties, featuring Esoterra, Hellclaw, and Cremita, and all drawn by Ken Landgraf in the world premiere. Actually, the Funk pages, the two pager in Funk is the world premiere of the casualties, but they don't really get into action. There's like a little bit of action for Cremita on one page, but it's technically their first appearance. This is going to be their first action sequence. Just like Ken Landgraf is credited with making Wolverine's first solo adventure,
Yep.
and that was like hard fought getting that credit, and Marvel like finally recognizing it because they weren't sure like if something else came out first or did he appear with somebody else? Does that qualify as a solo adventure? All those questions, but they finally came out and announced it. And Ken emails me, and he's like, "Guess
Yeah.
what? Marvel,
Yeah. I got the same
they
email.
officially recognize it, so he can put that on his
So
resume." It's
awesome.
pretty impressive. Pretty
It's very
impressive.
awesome. It's very.
Yeah.
I envy his career every step of the way. Minus maybe the New York City, living in New York City thing. I don't know if I would have survived.
Right. Well, he was in Manhattan, but he had to move to Queens. So that's the story of the last 20, 30 years in New York City, is that everybody's getting priced out of Midtown. Um, so also, I have noticed on Alex Turbin's feed that he is using Esoterra now in his like goddess section, or he's doing like some kind of goddess project, or
God's
gods
project.
project.
Yep.
Yeah, his new
Yep.
gods project. So he's doing kind of like a cool Jack Kirby thing where he's doing his new gods, and he asked us to contribute one, and we contributed Esoterra, who is in our sci-fi storyline. But in his world, Esoterra is going to be a goddess, and we I think this was some artwork that we were going to supply, but I started inking it, so I don't know if this is going to be the piece. I think you and I were going to decide on a piece that you were going to ink, and you were going to do all the finishes on.
Yeah.
Um, and I don't know when he may or may not need that by, but I had like two Esoterra pinups that were ready to go, and pencil wise. Um, this is these are some sketches from the end of the world timeline. You see Esoterra, you see Elavina. Here's Turbo and Trophy. This is from the Company Man. This is Wee Lou. This is the Marauders that we spoke about. These are the bad guys. This was the first preliminary sketch I did for
All of this.
Dr. Bruno
Oh my
and
God.
Bianca. And this is like
Jesus.
a teenage captive here. So like they're in the business of abducting teen girls that have potential for enhancement, um, or breeding. He actually is looking for brood mares. This was the second sketch I did, and this is what I gave Ken to work off: the
That's
Marauders,
great.
featuring Bianca and Dr. Marauder. So this could be inked, and this could be a pretty splashy pinup. We also have some information here. Headmistress of a charter school syndicate, fake psychic, preys on the poor and misguided. She is a carnival atmosphere, 20 years of live casting, religious programming the Marauders have. So he starts out as a research assistant in a science lab, but he becomes a televangelist, and she becomes a sidekick, kind of like Jim and Tammy Faye of the future. Oh, it says right here, he's a quantum professor turned megachurch pastor, cult ruler, and he cut a territory deal with the DeHubertons for EU dibs on glower children. So he's like the modern day Jeffrey Epstein. Really messy stuff.
Hey,
AI gets really offended. Whatever.
you get. I know with all your moving, you're still in the vortex of settling in. But on your list, do you have the printer scanner that we talked about,
It's
so you
on
can
my
start
list,
scanning
but
this stuff?
I'm
Good.
I'm a couple of
Good.
weeks away from getting set up. But
That's fine.
I want
That's
to
fine.
definitely do it this summer, because
Okay.
I need to scan all the pages for Pearl White Malady, which is a complete comic in full color that's waiting to be
Yep.
printed and published, except for just
Yep.
like the final production notes and all the inside covers and stuff. So I'm literally like chomping at the bit to finish that project and have something in my hands for the next IC3, that I could literally, it's a project that I worked on with my students for over 10 years. And you know I it's unusual. Kurt calls it outsider art, which I agree with. um and it's got a very weird look, but imagine, if you will, folks, like, I know there's a lot of comic creators that listen to this. Imagine doing your best pencils and then handing it, instead of handing it to a professional inker, handing it to middle school kids that have literally never worked in the business before, let alone, even like completed their assignments in class. And what would happen? What would it turn into with all of the ink spills and all of the shaky hands and kids really, like, some kids really concentrating and trying to nail it. I have all that going on, and this comic is called Pearl White Malady. It's a post-apocalyptic story about a uh, a girl who portrays not Snow White but Pearl White in Eisney World, not Disney World, Eisney World. And in this world, she wakes up 20,000 years in the future, or some unspecified time in the future, when the planet is inhabited by nothing but flying demons, and antics ensue from there. And I'm going to just totally admit that it's a Commandy inspired uh, project. I was going to say rip off, but it's so different that it's just its own thing at this point. But I love Commandy, as everybody knows. So that's it. And I have a 28-page story. Oh, it's right here, I think, ready to go. Here, is this the first issue? No, this is a future issue. But like, that's the crazy thing. I have multiple issues of this that are in different stages of completion, and I love working with my students on this.
They're
They color it,
fantastic, Jake.
they ink
Yeah,
it, and they're
yeah.
all different ones. And like, here's the big mystery: are they going to sign the back? I tell them, if you work on it, put your name on the back so you can get credit.
Get
So
some
here,
credit.
Evelyn, a student named Evelyn, worked on this, inks and colors, but that doesn't tell you anything. Was that Evelyn R, who was only in seventh grade last year, or is that the eighth grade Evelyn? No, it's not the eighth grade Evelyn, because she spells it differently. Or is this the sixth grade Evelyn? I have so many Evelyns. So this is like, and I had to write this because she didn't write her name, and I probably didn't write her last name because I probably didn't remember it at the time. So this is a very fun, cool project, and I have 5 chapters of this in production. Chapter 5 is just started, but here, this is chapter 4. This is so far along. So this is going to be another whole nother fun project called Pearl White Malady that people can look forward to issue number 1 coming out this hopefully this calendar year, but if not, by the next IC3 convention.
Also, that was on the table when you called me and we started talking about getting back together to make comics. That was on the table for an idea of instead. We did go with Turbo, but that I
Yeah, you
was
would have loved
completely
you
floored.
would have loved
I
that
was
project
completely
just as
floored.
much.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah,
you
yeah,
would have loved
completely
that project.
floored.
But the thing was, I had so much work from the students
Yeah,
already. I didn't want to
no, it's
transition
totally
to like a
understandable.
professional.
Yeah,
So we're
thank you
keeping
for
those
calling
in
me a
their
professional.
in separate buckets. I'm looking for. I'm trying to make. So, Kurt, I want to show you this. This was one of the Esoterra pinups that I penciled, and this is ready to hand off to you. It's
All
it's
right,
all done with lettering, and then has a little bit of background, but you can definitely put all your flourishes on there and fix it all up. And I don't know if the format's right. It might be a little tall and skinny, but if you're inking it, maybe you could just extend it like half an inch on both sides to make it the right format. I don't know if these things need to be like full bleed anyway or whatever, but um we need to touch base with Alex and find out what are we supposed to get him for his New Gods project, and then we'll have next steps. Oh wait, what's this? Is this? Oh look, here's chapter 1. This is what I was talking about. Here's inside front cover, which is not supposed to be, which is, I guess, is color now. And here's page 1, and all the pages. Look at this. This is really rich. This is what I want all the chapters to be like, fully fleshed out in shading and color, and a lot of value on the page. And let's see, it's always an adventure. No names on the back of page 21. Here's an adventure. Um, Elia worked on this. This could be any year from like 2014 till today. Here, RJ worked on Noah worked on this. Noah was actually a very misbehaving kid, actually. Very, very misbehaved. This one, no name on the back. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. And it just goes on and on. So a lot of uncredited, but I am going to here, right here. This has the name of the school and the years. Yeah. Began around 2013 with students trying their hand at inking. Bronx Park Middle School, that's where I teach. New Direction Secondary School, where I used to teach. And art interns from City House High School, which is my high school interns, where I have like maybe like 6 or 10 high school interns every year, right in my middle school classes. That's also another fun project. And the high school kids are much better than the middle school kids, honestly. Um, there's a big difference between sixth grade and 11th grade. It's like night and day. Anyway, that is a fun project. And I'm really just stalling for time. I'm trying to find the pad where I have my latest turbo pencils, my roughs. So, Kurt, what have you seen? It's been 2 weeks since we did an episode. What have you seen in the way of B movies or any movies?
Oh, mm, mm. No, the thing I've been going into lately is animation, like
Okay.
looking for animation. So nothing well known per se, but a lot of stuff I've been unearthing through YouTube, like Russian and Polish, like old stuff from the 70s and 80s.
That was probably
But
embargo because of the Cold War.
yeah, I guess, yeah. But a lot of it like hand painted, obviously hand drawn for the animation and movement and stuff. Fairy tales sometimes and stuff. But then also, what YouTube quite often does well, at least for me, is if you watch a whole bunch of one subject, it just starts dumping things on you. Like you might like this, you might like this. And so then like old Japanese animation started coming up. And I think what it's been for me is I want to watch more animation for the comic book and drawing effect, but also I'm like B movie exploitation films, 60s, 70s, and 80s. I don't want the tightly rendered stuff. I don't want the slick computer generated Disney stuff. I want the rough stuff, even in
You like
the
it rough?
yeah, well, I mean, even in the stories, like it doing that. But yeah, nothing, nothing. I had a lot go on last 2 weeks. Some of it like time off, but a lot of it like things have got to get done. Not like moving, but just things have got to get done in life right now. Um,
Yep.
so there wasn't a lot of time other than watching full length anything other than with my wife, and she's not gonna sit down and watch anything cool, no, anything like that we get into. So now, other than like
B movie
if
or
anybody
one.
if anybody out there has some good suggestions for animation, like none of the, I mean, I've seen every Ralph Bakshi 6 times. Fire and Ice, I've watched 35,000 times. My birthday's coming up, so I will be doing my yearly rewatch of Conan the Barbarian with Arnold Schwarzenegger. And then, but yeah, like even Japanese animation, I'm still trying to figure out categorically, what, just the whole, yeah, it's all confusion to me when it comes to Japanese anime. But yeah, kind of looking for something along those lines on my downtimes at night. So any
Yeah.
suggestions would be appreciated. Make them in the comments.
Well, I'm just watching all my post-apocalyptic movies from my book, and just I haven't even scratched the surface yet. There's so many good ones. Um, but I did see one recently, and I can share. Let me see if I'll come in and share my screen and give a mini review. Share screen right here. Um, and you probably, I'm gonna guess that you saw this. Um, so yeah, let's share and switch over. Okay, can you see my screen at this point?
Nope. I mean,
Not
I can
yet.
see.
Okay,
Oh, oh, here it comes. Here it comes.
yeah.
Oh, Death Race 2000.
Yes. So this was mentioned in
uh,
my post-apocalyptic coffee table book called World Gone Wild. Um, and I had never seen it. I had never seen
what?
Death Race 2000.
Holy
I
moly! That was like the most sought after midnight movie on television to watch. Oh my lord! Hundreds of times
well,
I've
it
watched
could,
that.
yeah. If it's on TV, some things have to be edited because there's some topless nudity. There's some nudity like butts and TNA type nudity in there. But yeah, big name star David Carradine. Sylvester Stallone is a supporting role in his very early. It's 1975.
Yep.
He plays a very wacky character. The whole thing is very camped up, and the setting, it might be familiar because I think it's been duplicated many times. But basically, the post-apocalyptic world where the big blood sport of the day is these this ride, this annual race, and there was like 5 cars that started out, and they get points for hitting people, and you get like more points if it's an old person or more points if it's a child, and I here, this guy right here, see this guy I'm highlighting. This is really the forerunner of the Hunger Games, I think, because they're making it a TV spectacular, and they have this over the top announcer, that's playing everything up. Now, this was a very low budget movie, but the idea really, really is that society in the future is going to be celebrating, these deadly competitions, just like we have for our pit fights. And you know this actor was great. I mean, he did a lot with a little. There was no budget for this movie. You can see, like, these are the cars, and they had some nice cars, but they were like, they were just painted and airbrushed, and it was, they just like chopped it up and put some like metal parts on it. Carradine had this mask on. Stallone was like, he was not a major character, so all of these like reissues are trying to kind of horn in on Stallone's fame, from later. But yeah, 1975. So this was before Mad Max, and I think this was written up in the book as having influenced Mad Max. Um, it's definitely worth seeing because it's just funny how low budget it is, and how kitschy it is. But and there's some hot babes in there. There's some um funny lines in there. The action is a little bit wanting. The budget's low. It's the kind of thing where they just, somebody just like, you just see a car exploding for no particular reason, all that kind of stuff. But yeah, I saw Death Race 2000, and then I saw, um you're gonna love this one, Kurt. I saw Captain America: A Brave New World.
What is
And
that?
you want to know Captain America: A Brave New World, featuring, Marvel Studios' latest. Harrison
Oh,
Ford is the president, and he turns into Red
oh,
Hulk. And Captain America is now got wings and a shield, so he's the Falcon and Captain America all in one. And there's a new Falcon that they introduced. And my review of Captain America: A Brave New World is avoid. avoid it. It's so bad. It's really just bad. It's not a great example of a Marvel movie, and I think that was reflected in the box office. They had one good weekend, I think, and then it went downhill. I'm pretty sure it was a disappointment. I know they promoted it and they pumped it up, and it was on TV commercials and Super Bowl and all this stuff, but it was really disappointing. Really, the bad guy, the characterization. Um, when you think about Captain America, well, you could have cameos, you could have the Avengers, and you could have Black Widow, you could have all these things happening, and they had none of it, and it was just a whole side story of the president elected of America, and he turns into the Red Hulk because a bad guy totally manipulates him. Oh, was that bad? So,
So
um,
Jake,
you know,
I have
I
I
didn't
have
watch it in the
come.
movies. I watched it at home when it was free.
So
So
you didn't
don't
pay
rake me
the
over the
yeah.
coals. Go ahead, Kurt. What do you got?
I have accepted. I've come to terms and have completely accepted that I have aged out. It's not really
Well,
a
you said that
humorous
2 years
statement.
ago.
I
You said that
I know, but
3 years.
now I've come to terms and completely have accepted it. I don't even when I see anything, even the Superman thing, I lost traction on. I think I watched way too many trailers. I didn't really watch. I watched nobody talking about it. I just lost traction and will not go to the theater to see it because I don't. I've aged out. You know what I mean?
Right. Well, as we
So
speak, the new Superman movie has been in the theaters for about a week. And it's the James Gunn reboot. I'm not seeing it in the movies anyway. I don't know if I don't care if I ever see it. Um, my wife is gonna see it. Lisa's gonna go see it with a bunch of friends, just as a goof. But I've always thought that Superman is too powerful and therefore he's too corny. And the stories, I don't know. I mean,
it's not written
I
for
saw this.
us. It's not written for us. That's my point, though. They're never. I don't believe they're ever going to give us anything ever again, unless it's an off the mainstream studio. Like if some studio was able to get a hold of the IP, the characters, whatever, was dynamically be able to use a central time in comic book issues and stuff. We're just never going to get it. We're just never going to get it, and there's just something that always just rubs me completely wrong about. I'm not wrong, just completely disengages me. I just every time I watch something MCU, DCU, or up in that echelon, it just completely disengages me. So it's like, why even
Well,
bother?
I look at it through the eyes of my students, and I also look at through the eyes of society. As curmudgeonly as Kurt and I are, because I'm down on Marvel movies now too. I recognize it is an art form. It generates hundreds of millions of dollars in profit. Marvel is making more money off that than they ever made on comics, squared many, many times over. But they've hit a wall. I think everybody recognizes that they've hit a wall, and they're really trying to like retool and retool. Um, they canceled a bunch of planned movie releases, but there's definitely going to be the continuation of multiple franchises. Matter of fact, last night, or yeah, the night before last, was the premiere of the new Fantastic Four movie reboot with big name actors and a really big budget. They have a retro look and feel to it. They're bringing out Galactus. Um, you know, Comic fans are going to be disappointed, but that's not the point. The point is for Marvel to make hundreds of millions of dollars in profit, because when they have a hit, it's really, really, excuse me, profitable. Um, as far as the art form, we're in the stage now where CGI can do anything, and it's just literally elastic reality. So, Hollywood can be as creative as they want. And, if this would have been the case when Stan Lee was there, you probably, it would have happened then. But we had to wait for the technology, to catch up. So, I think that, people watching this, make comics, make indie comics, make black and white comics, be a purist and everything. But, let's not kid ourselves. We're living in a world of commercialization and exploitation of these, famous characters. Disney bought them years ago and they want to monetize them. And they do a very good job of marketing, the IP and for another generation and another generation. And they're going to continue to do it until every last bit is drained from the characters. So, there's an opportunity if you're an artist. Some comic artists are going to pursue their art and pursue their, creativity. And a few of us are going to get hired by Marvel and DC. And, you're going to work with writers that are trying their best to make good comics. But, you really are, you're really hampered by the fact that it's so corporate and that you have to stay within, the guide, the rails, that are set. And, you might love the old comics when there was a free hand because, they were just throwing spaghetti at the wall. And, a lot of great came out of that. But, a lot of bad, comics came out of that too. It was always a hit or miss proposition. So, it's just the art form continues. It's just, new technologies, new audiences, a changing world, a lot more globalized. And, you know, um, my advice to folks is like, just continue what you want to do. And, Kurt, you always said I wouldn't even work for Marvel if they offered me, any character or whatever. Yeah, a 10-page backup, whatever. I wouldn't even do it. Right? And then you say things like that.
Yeah, because I wouldn't be able to. I wouldn't be able to be me. I very rarely take. I very rarely have the wherewithal to work within the confines of somebody else's vision and me just being a physical tool to make their vision.
Right.
I lost that in the early 2000s. And that was one of the reasons I went to the management program at Trader Joe's and left for 8.5 years, because I just had gotten disillusioned to the point that, and it's all on me. This is not a blame society rant, but what it had come to is I had not figured out how to be me in the way that somebody would want me. I ate stuff all the time through the 90s. Once I got out of school, made a lot of money doing that. So a lot of my work, just doesn't look like anything that I'd ever done because I was, getting it done for somebody who needed it to look like something else, maybe not even somebody else. But, it comes all the way back, though, to you and I and the beauty of the collaboration. In other words, you're not my boss and I'm not your boss. Now, the power of having a successful collaboration is the ability to basically say at points, compromising in the way of like, you know what, Jake seems to be very, connected to this thing that he wants us to do. I'm going to go with it, and I've seen it happen, in the other way. And, it is something that you and I are promoting with our Turbo Pit Fighter and how we're doing and what we're doing right now. Is it seems still completely insane that we're over 3 years doing this and nobody's copying us. And I've talked to people explicitly about how to do it. I've talked to get people excited about it, give them support, tag team and, all that kind of stuff in trying to help promote it and everything like that. But I get this feeling deep down that the biggest fear is working with somebody else, losing half the control, you know what I mean, of what you want to see made. And I'm just also not that kind of character. Like I've lost a lot of that. I've got to control the entire look and feel of something. And number one thing I love about making art is working with somebody. That's always the thing that I look forward to, is to be able to actually honestly collaborate with somebody. I just love it. I just love it, you know, and especially when it's done in a freewheeling way. Like both of us are like, hey, man. Oh, as a matter of fact, so I'm working on completing the pages for my Crom Anthology #1. Right now, around 228 pages.
Yep.
And
with that.
I have a mock-up now. If you go over to cromthebarbarian.com, you'll be able to see me flip through this entire thing and talk about it. I just did a follow-up live event on Crom the Barbarian on YouTube, but I showed this off. So this is John Molina, one of the contributors who wrote in pencil just on his own, just started hammering these things out. Like didn't ask for permission, didn't ask me what I thought. He just page 1, here you go, Kurt. I was like, wow, this is great. Page 2, page 3. So when I sat down and got to the point where about 2 months ago, I had to start calling and reining people in, you know, things in his life got to a place where he was like, dude, I couldn't sit down and ink it and get in time for the deadlines you got set up. And I said, well, you know what? I want to ink it. Can I ink it? And so we made terms for that. Now, one of the reasons I wanted to ink his story is, you see the Zipatone?
Yeah.
All right. So this Zipatone I made in Photoshop. I made it in Photoshop. I layered it over his pencils at 13 by 17 blown up. The hand lettering process I do is up on the next layer. And I cut out everything I didn't want Zipatone. Then everything not Zipatone, I put a 10% opacity on, then printed it out, and then inked it. So now I have this automatic 1 grayscale, which is all I wanted, because I just want to accentuate his line work as a Japanimation or a Maramanga, style of work. And this is one of the reasons I love collaborating, making comic books. It's exactly the way John and I went through the process of making this. So I just wanted to share that up there.
Yeah, I mean, collaborations are happening. That, you know, there's no doubt about it. But to set it up, you know, with a podcast, you know, that's another hurdle that is not happening. You know, live on the air and everything. So I guess, you know, we're still very unique for now, but it's only a matter of time before somebody else, you know, who is already collaborating, you know, I mean, there's writers and artists that spend hours on the phone while the artist is drawing, and they're just talking about stuff, and you know, and there's artists that are working together, you know, and they probably spend hours on the phone, right? We heard about Rob Liefeld talking about this, you know, in his earlier days, and you know, the difference nowadays is that there's this technology where you could hit a couple of buttons and all of a sudden you're live streaming, both of you, and this is exactly what we're doing right now. But you know, I don't know, we just have never heard of another example of two guys doing this on the regular, in you know, in the comic world. So you know, somebody's gonna do it. Folks, do it. Somebody do it. Anyway, you know, we are discussing, you know, our, as everybody heard, our affairs, you know, what our next steps are, who's got to do what, you know, the lettering. You know, there are, in collaborations, there are compromises, but you know, there's also roles. And so, you know, if everybody has their role and everybody, and you know, you have an agreed upon script, then everybody knows their marching orders, right? You're all working on a project. Um, you know, the great thing about this format that I really recommend that other creators use this is because it locks you into a scheduled time that it might be the only hour that whole week that you have to work on, your comic project and make that steady progress. We do it for about 2 hours or 2 or 3 hours, but you can still just like bank on it, that you're going to be making slow, steady progress because everything gets so
Hey,
busy.
Jake.
Yeah.
So here I got so Angels of the Renaissance is a channel that I follow, and he's right now on our chat, and he's actually working. For the first time I just did a live posting of a comment, so that'll be recorded in there. And I also am going to set up a hopefully a exchange between us for the indie comic creator. If you have not checked out Angels of the Renaissance on YouTube, that channel and what he's working on, you're missing out. You're missing out on something really big. I've been following him. He's on volume 3.
Is this it here?
I can't see your screen stopped for me.
Oh, really? It's locked up. Well, I'm on Twitter.
Yeah. Yep, that's it.
Okay.
Yep.
Throw follow. Yeah. And I guess Instagram too. Yep. Everybody.
Because we have 5 more. We have 5 more our indie creators that we met at IC3 that this week I've got to set up our interviews with, and then we'll start actually reaching out to others to start making those reconnection. Also, just to make you aware, Jake, and everybody else, this 2 days ago, I officially launched the Indie Creator Update Reel. And this is something I've been talking about for quite a while. I finally got the time and put it all together, sent out emails. 32 of the creators that we have already done podcasts on the Indie Exchange, I reached out to and invited them to send a 1 minute or less horizontal video of an update on what they're doing. And 20 people have responded so far. And what I'll be doing is I'll be putting those 1 minute updates from these past guests of ours into about 5 or 6 segments. So it'll be about 5 minutes so long, and then be posting them on the Turbo channel to help promote, but more importantly, more than promoting, keep the dialogue open with one another. Like the email was very much run along because I'm always saying at the end of the interviews with these other creators that, we're not a one and done. We want to have you on. A lot of them we've had on multiple times, 2 times, 3 times. So this is something that I've been really wanting to open up to others, to us and to others, to be able to get them to stay in contact with us and vice versa. So this is going to be a really exciting program moving forward. So, and I'll be sharing more and more information about how to get involved and what's happening with that. So.
Sounds good. Yeah. I mean, I always thought that our Substack should include any of our collaborators that have any news, just like a one-liner at the bottom or like a little banner or something at the bottom, just to use, whatever connections we have, whatever clout we have to help our buds. Yeah. So that sounds great. Sounds great. I also want to convey some bad news. Everybody out there knows this already, but this was the week that Ozzy Osbourne died, and I don't know about you, but he was a very, very big influence in my life. Not just solo Ozzy, but Sabbath. I like to say to people, I observe the Black Sabbath. I don't know if 3 days passes when I'm not listening to some Sabbath. And Ozzy really just had an amazing attitude towards art and life, and the way he lived his life and the way he did everything. definitely, one of the biggest icons in rock history ever, but also, just a very, very positive, life affirming guy, if ever there was one. Um, you know, Even though his persona was the Prince of Darkness and everything was about like the devil and 666 and all that. He was the biggest mush. He was the biggest nice guy ever, and for peace and love, and his it's in his lyrics. And this was the week that he passed. So there's a lot of retrospectives happening around Ozzy, and I don't know if you have any Ozzy stories, but I can't tell you how many days I spent, with a boombox outside, drinking 40s and, listening to, Sabbath, those first 4 or 5 albums over and over and over and over. And, I never got to see Ozzy live, but, I think when I first saw his 1960s performances on film, on video, um, I got some bootlegs, and they used to sell them in Tower Records, like some of his early performances. I just couldn't believe my mind. I was like, how did they capture this on film? And I didn't never heard about it. I was probably like 15 years old. So just wanted to say, rest in peace, Ozzy, and you will never ever be forgotten. You're a very, very important person, and even though you're not alive anymore, you're going to still, remain alive forever. And I don't know if that was
Yeah,
hard.
he's definitely tour de force. Personality. To be honest with you, the most I ever spent time with him was the Osbournes on MTV, and
Yeah, right. He had a whole
Sharon.
right. He
I
had a whole
mean,
reality show that was more than
yeah,
20
but
years
the
ago.
thing, yeah, but this is the thing. That was at the beginning of his ailments, and Parkinson's being one of them. And you want to talk about a fighter, like a
Yeah,
true fighting spirit. For him to
yeah,
have made it this far with Parkinson's is iconic. And you're absolutely right. His spirit was not dark at all. He was playing a character. He just knew no boundaries to playing a character. Music is great, though. I mean, I love listening to some Sabbath, some Oz. I'm totally down with it. It's not quite my cup of tea, but if it comes on, I'm bobbing my head to it. But it was just and like David Bowie, keeping it close to his chest, not playing off of it for any kind of like sympathy, because he would lose the traction on his art. Um, Finishes up his tour, and 2 weeks later, he says peace out with all of his family around him. Come on. What a
couldn't even
life.
stand up.
What a life. What a
He played a
life.
show.
I
He
mean, come on.
sang
Yeah.
he sang and he entertained a gigantic audience, and he couldn't even stand up. And
Yeah.
so they built him a big
Yep.
chair, and
Never. Yep.
and then I think 70, like 2 weeks later, he was gone. So he went
Yeah.
out the way. I mean, the Keith Richards said it. He said, they said, well, why don't you give up? You're like 80 now. And he was like, "Are you kidding? I'm in the greatest rock and roll band ever. Oh, I'm gonna do this until the
Yeah.
day I die."
Till the day I die. It's like
Uh,
Bob Dylan. Same thing. I don't think Bob Dylan has an address. He just has what, 6 tour buses that go all over the world?
that's right. I know. Yeah, Bob Dylan is playing. Bob Dylan is selling tickets for a concert next year, for crying out
Good for
loud.
him.
Yeah, and all these guys. I think Springsteen said it. He was on an interview with Howard Stern, and I've never been a huge Springsteen guy, but I do respect the way that he's hung in there, and he just keeps making his music over and over. And you find you boil it all down. These guys just live to be on the stage, just performing for people, and creating, creating their stuff in the back room, and then bringing it out, and and performing for people, and getting that adulation, and getting that response. And it's the same thing with comics. A lot of us, pour everything we have into our comics, and we just like, oh, I want to tell the story my way. I want to do everything for me, and make it
Yep.
my vision and all that. But really, it's that moment when you're sitting at your table and you see somebody like actually enjoying it. That's when you get like the most endorphins, right? It's like, oh, there's validation, at the end of this long process. And all these guys are very, very gifted, singers and writers, and performers and everything. And so there's all different levels of of ability. And the guys that are at the highest levels, they're just doing this for stadiums for decades. And you could see somebody getting hooked on that, right? I want to go out there, I want to get back out there, and I want to do it for the fans. So yeah, the end of an era. I was always wondering, when Ozzy was going to go. I wondered if Keith was going to go before Ozzy, but I guess Ozzy went before Keith. The Stones were out way before Sabbath had a hit, had an album. But Ozzy went first, I guess. I mean, they both had crazy lifestyles, but I think Ozzy was into all kinds of drinking and everything. And Keith Richards and all those guys, they pulled back from all their heroin and all their stuff, I guess, by the 70s, and Ozzy was still doing it, hard and heavy through the 80s. He was on tour with Motley Crue, and, eating the head of bats and stuff. So, yeah, yeah. So condolences to Ozzy's family, but, there's so many people that I know that were just influenced by Ozzy, just his lyrics, his he had an incredible voice, just an instantly recognizable voice. And and I think very unheralded is Tony Iommi, the guitar player for Sabbath. And I think he'll probably get recognition next, because he brought something that he doesn't get a lot of credit for, like Lennon and McCartney. You hear the both names, and Jagger and Richards, you hear both names together. And like even like David Lee Roth and Eddie Van Halen, you hear both names together. And when it comes to Black Sabbath, you just hear Ozzy. He just takes the spotlight, and you never hear Tony Iommi. But he wrote everything, performs everything. He's got the craziest licks, craziest riffs, the craziest arrangements, and just like just amazing career. So I think because Ozzy was so vivacious, it kind of put Tony Iommi in the background. But he was actually involved in Jethro Tull in 1968, I think, 1968, 69, before Sabbath formed. And Sabbath, I think, first released stuff in like 1970. And they had a different band name. I think it was called like Earth before that, and they put out some demos. But he just amazing stories, man. I just love the way it comes up. I don't know how we're doing on time, Kurt, but I wanted to show you. I found,
We
people ask.
have just we have 20 minutes.
Oh, okay, that's plenty of time. I just want to let you know that people ask us, Jake, when are you going to pitch Turbo Pit Fighter to Hollywood to make the movie and all this stuff, and none of that is on our radar. We're making a comic. We don't think you can't think about stuff like that. But I come across this Instagram. Instagram's like sends you stuff whether you like it or not, and I come across Turbo, the casting for Turbo. Are you ready? There is a wrestler in the
For I don't what?
WWE. Yes, I'm about to. I'm about to hit you with a ton of bricks. You ready? There's a wrestler in the WWE named Rhea Ripley, and I think she fits the bill. Let's see what you think. Let me try and find a good one here.
And her name is Turbo.
No, her name is Rhea Ripley, but I think she fits the bill for casting Turbo in a movie if we're just playing
Oh,
that
you're
game.
playing the let's cast the movie. Okay.
Right, right. And she's got muscly arms, but she's got like kind of like shiny black hair, and she is tatted up. I don't know how tall she is, but and I'm actually not seeing like great pictures here of her, but there's what I'll do is I'll prepare like a good photo gallery of her for a future episode, and
Okay.
we just showcase like the physical attributes and a real human, because there is cosplay and there is these photo covers. I was in the comic store the other day, and I took a photo of a Red Sonja cover. Here, I'll show it to you. And I put it side by side. So last time I was in Newbury, just looking at the racks, I could not believe how many Red Sonja comics are coming out. Right, this is Red Sonja Noir, whatever that means. By Dynamite. It's a number one, of course. And then they have the same thing for sale with the Virgin cover, $9.99 or something. And this cover is like, it's all right. It looks like a waifu style. But right next to it, you see this. They have a cosplay Red Sonja, and I took a photo of it because I don't know if this is like a rando, just dressing up and taking photos out in the desert or something. But they're making a Red Sonja movie right now, and they have cast Red Sonja, and there is a production happening. Um, Dynamite also has out right now on the stands Red Sonja with Army of Darkness team up, and Red Sonja, like all of these tie-ins and crossovers. I saw like there's Red Sonja Ultimate, Red Sonja Noir, Red Sonja Blood Moon, Red Sonja this that. I had to see like there was probably 6 different Red Sonja comics on the stands right now, and that's not including variant covers. With variant covers, there's like 20, but there's something happening right now with the character, and I think whoever owns the rights at this point, maybe they're going hot and heavy with a movie, and they're gonna try and cash in. So stay tuned for that. I know it takes years, but I've heard about this, you know, over a year ago, so they have to be pretty far along. And
Yeah,
of course,
the one speculation that's going on right now, going back into the AI thing, is there is a lot of paranoia abound naturally, where if you have IPs that have not entered certain media, like books or television or movies or video games and to the like, then there's a chance that people using your IP and then making a character or a story based on your character as an IP in those other genres will be able to control the IP within that um, medium. Now, none of this is like proven. This is just very faint stuff that I've been getting through newsletters and places that I go to keep up to date on the laws or the things being broken down. So
yeah,
whoever does, I do not know. I don't believe Conan. I think Conan International Properties might. There's a good chance. I don't think that's true because there's just some weird things that I've just seen over the last 20 years with that character. But whoever
yeah,
has it might be getting up ahead of the game to not have to fight anybody by producing something in the media of movies, film, and then having to fight somebody who's making, it all in AI generation and go from there. So um, that's just my speculation, my POV.
Yeah, there was some pretty big news in the IP world this
Yeah, a
last
lot
couple
going on.
days. Yeah, because the guys over at South Park just inked a
Yeah,
deal, and they're turning over all of their IP to Paramount, um, which coincides with this really corrupt merger they just pulled off with Larry Ellison's son. Skydance is some big production company, and they gobbled up like Paramount, and which is already a huge umbrella company for like lots of other things. Paramount Movies, Paramount TV, Paramount. I'm sure they have their hands in everything, but the South Park guys just cashed in a major way. I heard a figure of $1 billion, and they sold all of their episodes, all of their previous episodes, plus the right and title to all the characters in the South Park world. And I double take. I did a double take because $1 billion is insane. And now that does include they have to produce, I think, 15 new episodes a year, um, or something like that, or maybe just like within a year or something. I don't know, whatever. But $1 billion. So you know, David Bowie sold his catalog when he was still alive. Springsteen sold his catalog when he was still alive. Dylan sold his catalog when he was still alive. These guys only got like $100 million, right? For like not even, I think like $50 million for all of these like cherished songs that are instant classics, instant hits, for every generation forever. But the South Park, I mean, there's just going to be, I guess, like 5-10 years from now, there's just going to be a South Park channel that's just running South Park all day, and you're going to have stoned kids that are just watching it, for the next 100 years, and whoever owns it, I mean, $1 billion. It sounds, I've never heard of anything like that, but the Matt, Matt Parker and Trey Stone are like sitting on top of it right now, man. And they also did a very controversial, um, kind of like political episode that's getting a lot of attention now because the whole Paramount merger got sucked into politics. Because it was like CBS is part of the deal. CBS is just one little part of the Paramount empire, and they just had to pay the current administration like $200 million for censoring like some interview of Kamala Harris, and it's all BS. I mean, they had every right and First Amendment right to do everything they wanted, but they're just paying a corruption vig of $200 million to get the merger approved, and then you hear not 2 days later the merger was approved, and so it's a multi-billion-dollar merger of so the whole entertainment world, it's just effed, man. It's just effed, and like
Well,
it's
the way
it's
we know it, the way we have come to know it and understand, and goes back to my whole aging out. The thing that all of the aboves from 40, 45 years and up are why all of us are losing our shit is because we can feel in our bones our entire reality for the last 50 some odd years, you and I being up in the late 50s, just being pulled out from underneath us. There's in 2 years from now time, there'll be nothing recognizable to us other than in its warped, remixed, regenerated, reformatted forms,
yeah,
whatever it is. And once again, it goes back to they don't give a shit about us because we're dying. It's these younger people that have no clue about David Bowie. Ozzy Osbourne, Bruce Springsteen, South Park. They have no clue. There's a whole, I mean, I've seen articles will now 30 something millennials are writing critical essays on Gen Z, like we were doing to the millennials. I mean, it's bizarro world. We're just moving way too fast
Time keeps
for
marching on.
anybody to
Well,
digest what is going to happen and what you're supposed to do, and creates a lot of anxiety, myself
folks,
included.
yeah, I
But
hope we
let
don't
it
come
go.
off
Just
as
let it go.
I hope we don't come off as the two Muppets up in the balcony, saying "get off
Yeah,
my
no, we do.
lawn,"
We do.
because
We
we
do.
are literally on YouTube. We have a YouTube channel. We, so we're, but that is like 30-year-old, maybe 20-year-old technology at this point. So I think YouTube went live in like 95 or no, I don't know, like
Okay.
2005. So yeah, I mean that, I'm an observer. Like, I don't judge as much as you. I'm an observer, and I monitor things, and I'm really concerned. Like, my day job is getting kids into high schools and putting them on career paths, right?
Why
And
bother? Why bother?
making it, yeah,
It's all
yeah.
gonna.
I mean,
Seriously, I'm being me, but why bother?
there is a Instagram reel right now that people can look up, that, and maybe you came across this, maybe somebody listening came across this already. Um, there is a fully functional AI production, animation production program that's already up and running, where all you got to do is put in a
Yep.
prompt and it'll generate a half an hour.
Yep.
And you know what example they used? You know what characters they used to demonstrate their product? They
Wasn't it a Disney
used
character?
no, they used South Park. They used
Oh,
South
oh,
Park.
oh.
And they said, we don't have the rights to this or anything, but we're just using this as an example, of how somebody could do this. And then they show you like somebody keying in, all right, Cartman goes, down to the pawn shop and finds a magic guitar, and antics ensue. And then you press a button, and then they show you, sure enough, it creates the episode with the sound, the motion, the color, the pictures, everything. I mean, South Park, let's face it, it's very, very easy, to draw, and and you could automate, computerize that pretty easily. But because they don't, you don't have to worry if somebody's turning from like right to left. It's just like, two drawings. First he's front, and then he's on the side, and there's no,
Yeah, but South Park is
there's
not about the animation. South Park is not about the
no,
animation.
no, it never
It's
was.
nothing to do with it.
And
It has to do with their voice, like their comedy, their comedic annex on social observation, and it's masterful.
right,
I mean, and
right,
it's our generation that did it.
right. And yeah, and so this AI program that they built is going to be better suited towards manga and and simplified things like Powerpuff Girls than it will be for something like you know Frazetta style Conan or anything like that. Like, let's
Fire and
not kid
Ice,
ourselves. Right, let's not kid
anything
ourselves.
Ralph
Right.
Bakshi. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
No, but Kurt, that's the killer. Like the rotoscoping, right? The
Yep, yep,
labor intensive rotoscoping, where you take actual actors, you put them in a parking lot, and they have like wooden swords. Then you film that. Then you take the
yep.
film and you go frame by frame, and you make some guy Xerox it, a blow up of that, so that some other guy can trace it, painstakingly, frame by frame. And that's called rotoscoping. And it
Yep.
looks great. It's beautiful. That's Fire and Ice and
Love
Snow
it.
White, and
Love
right.
it.
And
Love it.
it goes back to it goes, the Cab Calloway and all that. But now it can be automated. And I'm not, on the one hand, you're sad for all the jobs that are going to be lost, but on the other hand, are there so many jobs? Like, where's the last
We're
rotoscoping
there.
movie that came out? When's the last TV show you saw that was rotoscope? Like, I think the industry has just given up. And Ralph
I
Bakshi,
did years ago. Years ago.
he should be the first one, to jump into this automated AI technology. He's probably spitting like, no, never. But at the same time, it's like, imagine you could do your Fire and Ice movie or your Wizards or whatever, and not have to,
Who Framed Roger
like
Rabbit and Cool World. Do you remember those two? Those
right.
are early 90s. Cool World had one of the best soundtracks at that time. Also starred Brad Pitt. But that was the whole thing is um, the integration of reality and cartoon. I've always loved that. I love stop motion animation, like Ray Harryhausen stuff. Because the thing is there's an illusion that you're able to watch just come to life and exist among us. Cartoons are 2D flat images that move in front of us on a picture frame. When you rotoscope or you do stop animation or even claymation, like that's another thing that I end up trying to find. And usually the
Nightmare
Russians
Before
did,
Christmas.
and it's the secret moving forward, people. Make your art totally look like you're making art. In other words, let us see the medium move, whether it's on a two-dimensional piece of paper or you want to do something animated. Make it look like the physicality of your efforts are making it move. I'm doing that with just making art. In other words, I'm using mediums with my Chrome stuff and even these pages, it is to make people take a double take and on how I did it, but more importantly, never ever question if anything's digital. You'll never look at my work and question if it's digital. That's my goal. And it's to have more and more of my marks on it and in it in order to get my humanity across in what I'm making. That's the key to, because there's going to be no machine that's going to be able to do that. It's just not on its own.
Well, who knows? Who knows what the future holds? But right now, we're at a juncture where the technology is able to do a lot of the drudgery, and that we talk about in betweening or tweening.
Yeah.
Adobe has unveiled a program where basically you just upload a 2D drawing and it will generate the character in 3D. Any pose you want: up, down, bird's eye, worm's eye. Turn them to the left, turn to the right, hit a button, and then it'll generate that for you. Either as a JPEG or a template that you can trace or whatever. And they debuted that in the middle of a symposium, and the audience started clapping, and then they videotaped that and they put that online as their new launch. And so they're up and running with that. Adobe is a big name too, so they're probably going to sell a couple of copies of that program. But
So look, we have like literally 1 minute because I set the timer when I put the scheduling up through Riverside to run this episode from 10 to 11:30. So I don't know because our first attempt was not successfully completed to the 1.5 hour mark. So I think we should just go ahead and use this last minute to start closing out and see if it doesn't shut us down. I doubt it will, but let's just go ahead and close this episode out, Jake.
No problem. So, folks, you might have noticed me. I've been searching for my pad that has my roughs so that I can start page 26. I haven't found that. I found a bunch of other stuff. And I am getting a little organized.
Good.
Kurt has been inking, so he's been productive. But I promise the next episode I will have my pad and we'll get back into laying out panels just in time to interrupt it and start doing some lettering. But if you've gotten this far, thanks for watching. You can check us out next Sunday. We're going to start live streaming again. We also have an archive of great episodes of our interviews with other creators. That's called the Indie Comic Exchange. And I just sent out a comic yesterday so that we can have one of these great exchanges coming up. That's going to be James Coates, I think. Um,
Yes.
Yes. Then we also have our flip throughs, which we do, and that is also on our other channel, which is called Comics That Influence. And we're a little backlogged on that. Usually during summer, I'm in acquisition mode, going to comic shops, but so far this summer, I just been unpacking from my move, and so
Yeah.
we're backlogged anyway. So I have at least 20 to 30 comics that I could show the covers of and talk about if we get to tape another one of those episodes anytime soon. But um, you should also check out kurtbrugel.com. You can see all the latest. You also have cromthebarbarian.com for all of Kurt's Sword and Sorcery World products, and that's all humming along. And we'll see you right back here on our YouTube channel next time. So see you next Sunday, right around 10 a.m. Eastern. And in the meantime, check you guys out and see you in the funny papers.
All right, Jake. I'll see you next Sunday.
All right.